Hello students, how are you all? I hope you are doing fine at home. I am your teacher Neha, which today I am going to teach you about chemistry from class 9th standard, and name of the lesson is water. So students, in previous class we have studied about water, that how water is occurred, free state and combined state. Later on we have seen that how the composition of water was done, how the formula of water came by Anthony Lavoisier and Henry Cavendish, right? Then later on we have studied about the physical and the chemical properties of water. So today in this lesson we are going to see the chemical properties related to reaction with the metals and non-metals. So let's go to the chapter. So students, first we are going to see the action of a metal. So first metal which we are going to take is potassium and sodium. So now let's see how the reaction happens. So children, this one is sodium, and that side, the metal which is kept there inside the solution, that is a potassium. So what happens when you are taking these metals and we are putting it inside the water? So now let's see what happens here. What you can see here, it's firing, right? You can see that a silver or a gold color flame is coming, right? So whenever you are taking sodium and you are reacting with the water, you will get a color which is yellow or golden yellow in color, and it shows that hydrogen gas will be produced here. Same way when you are taking potassium. Again, when you are putting the potassium inside the water, you will see some pinkish kind of flame, right? That pinkish color is also known as lilac flame. So these are the reactions how the water proceeding, or when you are adding water to these metals, will happen. Now let's see how to write the reaction for that. So I am taking sodium to sodium. When I'll add water, that time there will be a flame plus sodium and OH from the water will combine, and it will become NaOH plus again hydrogen gas will be liberated. So children, due to the formation of NaOH, you can see a spark is being produced, and same way when it becomes small light particles, that shows that hydrogen gas is getting liberated. Same way when I am taking potassium, the same reaction, I will take K plus H2O, it will become KOH plus the hydrogen gas will be getting removed. Okay, so this is the way how the reaction is getting proceeded. So now students, with potassium we have seen how the reaction goes. Now let's see, if you need to capture the hydrogen gas which has been produced by reaction of the metal and the water, what you have to do is, first you have to take the metal. Now that metal you have to add in that a little bit mercury. When for example you are taking sodium, in sodium if you add a little bit amount of mercury, it will become sodium amalgam. What it will become? Sodium amalgam. When you are getting the sodium amalgam, what you have to do is, take a beaker. In the beaker, pour it cold water. What you are pouring? Cold water. And a test tube has been put, right? Now there is a funnel. Just lift the funnel from one side and keep your sodium amalgam down. So these black color particles are sodium amalgam. Okay, so now what you have to do is, you will see that when sodium gets mixed with the amalgam, the reaction will not be that faster as it was in previous case. It will become little bit slower. So what you have to do is, when you are keeping the funnel over that, keeping it over the test tube, you will see that some bubbles are coming. That bubble shows that the hydrogen gas is getting liberated, and finally you will see that here H2 gas will be accumulated. Now how you can prove that the hydrogen gas is really getting here accumulated? What you have to do is, take this test tube and take a fire matchstick. You will see that the flame will even more brightened. That time you will get to know that yes, hydrogen was present. Okay, and plus if in this reaction, if you are taking a litmus paper, now here we are taking a red litmus paper. Now that red litmus paper, if I pour it down in this water, the red will change into blue. That shows that my solution became alkaline. What my solution became? Alkaline. Because alkaline is a base. So here due to the formation of sodium hydroxide, that is why it becomes a alkali solution. Okay? Yes. Now let's see how the reaction will go on if you are taking a calcium metal. So generally calcium metal looks like this. It's a little silverish and little bit whitish kind of metal. So now this metal, if I put inside the water, what will happen is, see, the metal when you are putting it inside, it will first settle down, and later by later you will see that some bubbles are coming and it is making the colorless solution as milky solution. Now when it is making it milky solution, you will get to know that yes, some reaction is happening. So in the previous case, hydroxides were formed, right? So even in this case, the hydroxide will be formed, and if I am taking calcium, then the reaction will go as calcium plus water will become calcium hydroxide, CaOH2 plus again the hydrogen gas is getting liberated in the form of bubbles here. Okay, so this is the way the reaction is happening. Same way from this reaction, if I want to capture the hydrogen, what I will do is here again I will take the metal. Now I do not have to add amalgam to it, that is I do not have to add mercury. Directly I can take my calcium and I keep it here. What is this? Calcium. So you have taken the calcium and you are putting it inside the water. Now if you are closing it, you will observe that some bubbles are coming. Again when some bubbles are coming, they will get accumulated over here as H2 gas, and again I said that if you want to confirm whether hydrogen is present or not, you have to take this test tube, and again in that you have to put a fire matchstick so that it brighten up and you will get to know that yes, hydrogen was present, right? And again children, in this solution hydroxide is formed, right? Hydroxide is a form of alkaline. So alkaline is what? Alkaline is a base. So here which base you are getting is, that is calcium hydroxide. Okay, so this is the base which you are getting. When again if I take a red litmus paper and you have put it inside, due to the presence of basic or alkaline solution, it will become bluish in color. So this confirms that a base is being formed, right? So now let's see the reaction with the magnesium. So what happens here is children, now I am taking magnesium. So magnesium is a shining metal, okay. So when you are taking magnesium and you cannot directly heat it or you cannot put it in a cold water, because a magnesium metal will never react with the cold water. Same way after cold water, go it for hot water. Again you will see that when magnesium is being added in the hot water, the reaction is not taking place, right? So after that what you are doing is, you are doing an experiment. What you have to do is, take a cotton wool, in that cotton wool take little bit amount of water, make it wet and keep it at the corner, okay. And after some time you have to place some magnesium over there. When you are placing the magnesium over there, when the water is getting heated, the water will change into water vapor, and that hot vapors, which is steam, will react with the magnesium and therefore a gas will be liberated. So here how the reaction goes is, you are taking magnesium plus H2O, which is in gaseous form, and when this reaction is happening, you will give MgO, which is magnesium oxide, plus again H2 gas will be liberated, and that H2 gas here you can see over this, right? Yes. Now let's see how to capture the hydrogen gas from that. Again I have taken a cotton wool and here is my metal. When I am heating it, you will get to know that the gas has been liberated from this test tube or this tube, and in the water you will see the bubbles, and therefore also it shows that hydrogen gas has been captured. So this is the way how you can capture water when you are heating the water and hydrogen gas will be produced, right? Now let's see what happens if you are taking the other metals, which is aluminium, zinc and iron. Generally these metals are little less reactive metals. Normally they won't react. So here what happens is, again you will not treat it with the cold water, with the hot water. You will directly treat with them steam, which is hot vapors. Now what you are doing is, again you are taking a cotton wool. In that you are keeping your metal, let it be zinc, aluminium or iron, and it will get heated up, and at the corner if the flame comes, that shows that hydrogen gas is getting liberated. Okay. So how to do the reaction here is, first let's take aluminium. Aluminium, which is Al. With that, if you are reacting H2O at a very high temperature, you will get aluminium hydroxide. So aluminium hydroxide, you can write it as Al2O3, and again hydrogen gas has been liberated. Same way, if you are taking the reaction with zinc and you add water to that, here again you are getting an hydroxide, or here you are getting the first oxide, and it will come as ZnO, which is zinc oxide, plus again H2 gas has been liberated. And finally, when we are taking iron, that is Fe plus H2O, it will become iron oxide, or first it will be Fe3O2 plus H2 gas. Okay. So this is the way how the reaction proceeds. Children, in one thing you have to remember in this, that ferrous, that is iron, when it reacts with water, it is a reversible reaction. When it is reversible, you will see that it will take fast. It will be very fast when the reaction is happening. Okay. So you have to be careful about that. Now let's see what are the conclusions drawn from reaction with the metals and the non-metals. First, with the metals is, potassium and sodium are very reactive. You saw that, right? It was a fire coming out of them. Now calcium. When you compare the calcium with the sodium and potassium, the reaction is happening, but it will be little bit slow, or you can call it as moderate. The third one is, when the rate of reaction, if you are comparing it with the magnesium, the third thing which we have taken the third magnesium was reacting, but it reacted only with the hot water, right, or hot vapors. It did not react with the cold water. Same way, the last one is Fe. I told you, right, iron. Iron reacts very slowly because iron is doing a reversible reaction. When it is doing the reversible reaction, you will see that the reaction will be very faster. Now let's see how the reaction will happen if you are taking a non-metal. So first non-metal which you are taking here is carbon. Now when you are taking carbon, that time the reaction will come as C plus H2O will give CO plus H2. So here you can see that when carbon reacts with water, it will give carbon monoxide plus H2O. And later on, if it reacts with the chlorine, how the reaction will happen is, you are taking Cl2 plus H2O. The reaction will come as HCl plus HClO. So here you are getting hydrochloric acid and hydrochlorate. Okay. So this is the two different substances. Same way, if you are taking more amount of chlorine, excess chlorine, that times it will come as Cl2 plus H2O, and the reaction will give high amount of HCl plus oxygen gas will get liberated. Okay. Yes, this is with less amount of chlorine and this is with excess chlorine. Okay, children? Yes. Now let's see what happens if you are taking a metallic oxide. So children, metallic oxide does not mean something which is very different. Okay, it is when magnesium or any kind of metal reacts with oxygen, it will become an oxide of that metal and it is known as metallic oxide. So, for metallic oxide, we are going to first take the example of sodium oxide. So, when you are taking the sodium oxide, you will write it as Na2O plus H2O, which is water. It will give sodium hydroxide. Same way, if you are taking potassium oxide, potassium, then it will be K2O plus H2O. It will give potassium hydroxide. Okay, this is the way how the reaction will proceed with the liberation of hydrogen gases. Now, let's see what happens with the metallic, non-metallic oxides. So, in non-metallic oxide, you are taking a non-metal, reacting with the oxygen and you are getting a non-metal. For example, you are taking sulfur and oxygen. When you are adding this two, you will get sulfur dioxide, which is a non-metal. So, for non-metal, if I take an example, first I said that it is SO2 sulfur dioxide plus H2O, it will give you the answer as H2SO3. This is sulfurous acid. It's not sulfuric, children. Sulfuric should have H2SO4. This is sulfurous acid. Same way, if you are taking carbon and reacting with oxygen, you will get carbon dioxide and the reaction will go as CO2 plus H2O. It will give H2CO3, which is a hydrogen carbonate, or you can also call it as carbonic acid. Last, we are taking nitrogen oxide, NO2 plus H2O. It will give HNO2 plus HNO3. So, this is nitric acid and HNO2 is nitrous acid. Okay? Yes. Now, let's see what are the tests for water. So, children, even if you want to find whether the water is pure or not, these are the following tests. So, first test is pure water will always be tasteless. You will not get any odor from that, plus it will be a clear solution. Second is a pure water will always boil at 100 degrees Celsius if the temperature is below 100 degrees Celsius or above 100 degrees Celsius. You will get to know that it's not a pure water. Same way, when you are taking the freezing point of water, a pure water will always freeze at 0 degrees Celsius. Okay? And the last one is water of crystallization. So, what it is? Water of crystallization. So, what does crystallization means, children? The formation of crystal due to the addition of water. So, here let us take two examples. Now, first you see these two salts. In this is white and this one is blue. So, here I am telling that the name of this substance is copper sulfate and it is anhydrous form. Anhydrous means there are no water molecules present. Okay? Same way, if I take little bit water and pour it in this, you will get a blue color substance and that blue color substance is also copper sulfate, but here it is in hydrated form. That means it is having water molecules. Same way, when I take these two salts, you will see that one is blue and another one is pink. So, here you can see that first one is known as cobalt chloride. What it is? Cobalt chloride. Now, cobalt chloride is generally blue in color, which is in anhydrous form, which means no water molecules are present in that. If you add little bit water, the color will change into pink and this is the hydrated form of cobalt chloride. So this is the final test. Okay children. Now let's see what is the uses of water. So first use is, whenever you want to take bath in home, what you will use? Will you use some chloroform or something other? No, right? You will use what? You will use water. Same way in medicines also water is being used, and later on in cooking of food we need water. Then even in chemistry labs, when you are doing the experiment for diluting the substance or you are putting some water, only then the concentration of the chemicals can be varying, right? Then in agricultural resource, and last one is in industries also water is very important. And as you know that water makes us look good, make us fit, plus it's very important for us, right? Yes. So students, when you are going into the description box, you will see that question bank, self-assessment and study material will be there. Plus, you have to go through this video. You should know that whatever the things we have discussed till now is not the end of the lesson, right? Yes. So students, I hope you have enjoyed the session. Until we meet next time again. Till then, bye-bye.